You have never truly lived your own life. Sounds uncomfortable, doesn't it? But think about it. From the moment you were born, everything was decided before you even took your first breath. Your name, the language you speak, what is called right, what is considered wrong, what you should study, how you should behave, what kind of person you must become to be accepted. And then one day, you look into the mirror and call that reflection me. But the truth is, you never stop to ask, who created this version of me? That is the moment things become terrifying. Not because the world is cruel, but because most people live their entire lives like a program that was written for them, and call it freedom. People wake up every morning not because they love life, but because the alarm clock rings. They go to work not because their heart wants to, but because they are afraid of unpaid bills. They smile, even though something inside them died a long time ago. And the strangest part is, everyone calls this normal. Alan Watts once said that the most dangerous thing is not death. It is living without ever truly being awake. Because when you look deeply into your life, you realize most of the thoughts in your head are not even yours. Your fears were learned from society. Your anxiety was fed by comparison. Even the feeling that you are not enough was planted inside you from childhood. You were taught to run. Run faster than others. Become richer than others. More attractive than others. Smarter than others. But nobody stopped to ask, what are we running toward? Look at this world. Everyone is in a hurry. Everyone is stressed. Everyone is trying to become somebody. But the harder they try, the more they lose themselves. Like a man dying of thirst in the middle of the ocean. Everything is already there, but he cannot feel it, because his mind has never been silent. Have you noticed? Modern people fear silence more than anything. The moment they are alone, they grab their phone, turn on music, scroll endlessly, watch videos, text someone, anything to avoid facing themselves. Why? Because deep inside, there is an emptiness they do not want to look at. An emptiness that, if they stayed silent long enough, would reveal that their entire life was built on illusions. Alan Watts said that human beings are like waves that forgot they are the ocean. Every person believes they are separate, a lonely self fighting against the world. But the truth is, you were never separate from life. You are life itself. Just as a wave is not separate from the sea. A flame is not separate from light. The wind is not separate from the sky. You are not inside the universe. You are something the universe is doing right now. It sounds crazy, but think about it. Do you control your heartbeat? Do you command your blood to flow? Do you create your dreams at night? No. And yet it all happens perfectly. Something deeper than this tiny ego is running everything. The problem is, human beings are obsessed with control. You want to control the future. Control emotions. Control how people see you. Control everything just to feel safe. But life was never meant to be controlled. The tighter you hold water in your hands, the faster it slips away. That is why the people trying hardest to be happy are often the most miserable. Because they turned life into a battle, when life was always meant to be a dance. You do not win a dance. You move with it. But society does not teach that. Society needs people who constantly feel incomplete. Because a person who is truly at peace cannot easily be controlled. If you always feel like you are not enough, you will keep buying more, working more, proving more, chasing more. An entire economy is built on that feeling of lack. They convince you that, if you achieve one more thing, then you will finally be happy. A better car, a bigger house, more followers, more money. But think about it. How many things once kept you awake at night with desire, that now mean absolutely nothing? That is the game. An endless loop. Human beings chase desire the same way they chase the horizon. The closer they get, the farther it moves away. And then the saddest thing happens. One day, you achieve everything you once wanted. But inside, you still feel empty. That moment is terrifying. Because you realize, there is no final reward. No magical moment where everything suddenly becomes perfect. Life is not a Hollywood movie. There is no ending where all problems disappear. There is only this moment. Only now. And if you do not know how to live now, you will never know how to live. Human beings always believe happiness exists in the future. Once I make enough money, I'll be okay. Once I become successful, I'll be happy. Once I find love, everything will change. But the future is like a moving sign. It never arrives. The moment you reach one goal, the mind creates another. So an entire life disappears in waiting. Waiting for the weekend. Waiting for vacation. Waiting to grow up. Waiting to feel stable. Waiting to become rich. Waiting for the right person. And eventually, waiting for death. Alan Watts once said, "People are taught to prepare for life so much that they forget to actually live." Children study for high school. High school students study for college. College students prepare for work. People work to retire. And then one day, they sit alone in a quiet room and wonder, when did I actually live? That is the real tragedy. Not failure, but never truly living at all. Do you know why children laugh so easily? Because they are not trapped in time yet. They do not obsess over yesterday. They do not fear tomorrow. They are completely here, completely alive in the moment. But as we grow older, we become hypnotized by clocks, schedules, goals, and the fear of becoming someone important. And slowly, the natural mind disappears. Modern people know so much, but they do not know how to sit still. They can talk for hours, but cannot listen to themselves for 5 minutes. They are connected to thousands of people, yet completely disconnected from their own soul. Maybe that is why, in the most crowded age in history, people have never felt more alone. Because loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the absence of connection with yourself. Alan Watts said something strange and beautiful. Human beings spend their entire lives searching for the meaning of life, while they themselves are the meaning. A flower does not need a reason to bloom. The sun does not need a purpose to shine. A river does not explain why it flows. Only human beings constantly ask, what am I living for? Maybe because we forgot how to exist naturally. We turned everything into a project. Even happiness. Even love. Even spirituality. People meditate to become better than others. Read books to feel smarter. Love someone just to fill the emptiness inside. Even awakening itself can become another costume for the ego. And that is the ego's greatest trick. It can disguise itself as anything, even as the enlightened one. But you do not need to become someone else to be complete. You already are a perfect part of existence itself. A tree does not try to become another tree. A cat does not hate itself for being a cat. Only humans wage war against themselves. Only humans constantly feel inadequate. Only humans reject who they are. But if you look closely, even the parts you hate most about yourself are trying to protect you somehow. Anxiety wants to keep you safe. Anger wants to defend your wounds. Sadness wants you to slow down and listen. No part of you is completely wrong. You simply do not understand it yet. And the funny thing is, the moment people stop trying to endlessly fix themselves, they begin to heal. Like water reflecting the sky only when it becomes still. The harder you try to control the mind, the more chaotic it becomes. The harder you try to sleep, the more awake you feel. The harder you try not to fear, the more panic grows. That is the paradox of life. What you chase tends to escape. What you accept begins to transform. So maybe what you need is not to try harder. Maybe you need to let go more. Not give up, but let go of the illusion that you must control life before you are allowed to feel peace. Because the truth is, you never controlled it anyway. And that is not bad news. That is freedom. You do not need to force the sun to rise. You do not need to command your heart to beat. You do not need to pull every wave onto the shore. Life already knows how to move. The only problem is that the ego constantly interrupts and says, no, it must happen my way. And suffering begins there. Think about it. How much of your pain came from reality refusing to match your expectations? You wanted people to understand you. Wanted life to follow your plans. Wanted the past to be different. Wanted the future to feel certain. But life never promised certainty. It behaves more like weather than machinery. Sometimes sunshine. Sometimes storms. Sometimes calm. Sometimes chaos. And no storm lasts forever. The strange thing is, most people only begin to awaken through suffering. Through heartbreak, loss, failure, sleepless nights. Because when everything falls apart, illusions fall apart too. And for the first time, they see life as it truly is, not as they were taught to see it. Maybe that is why people often become wiser after pain. Not because suffering is beautiful, but because suffering destroys the false self. It forces you to realize what truly matters. Not status, not image, not other people's opinions, but simply being alive, breathing, feeling, existing right here, right now. And maybe that is the greatest miracle we constantly ignore. Every morning you wake up. Your heart still beats. Your lungs still breathe. The sun still rises. The entire universe continues moving so life can exist for one more day. Yet human beings rarely see that as extraordinary. Because they are too busy running. Too busy searching for the next thing. Too busy living inside their own minds. Until one day, life forces them to stop. And in that silence, they finally realize what they were searching for all along was never far away. It was always here. In this breath. In this moment. In the simple fact that they're alive. Maybe awakening is not about gaining something new. Maybe it is about remembering what you forgot. That you are not separate from life. You are life. You are not lost inside the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself through a human form. And maybe, for the first time in a very long time, you do not need to become anyone else anymore. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, take a moment to breathe, and simply be here. And if you want more reflections like this, stay with the journey. There is still so much more to remember together.